SimplySavvy here, a little off the cuff. Not sure if this will work or not. Stuff I've been wanting to talk about for a long time, in depth with you guys. Um, it's just that, these 2D words are just so inadequate for 4, 5D and beyond concepts. Unless you use a whole lot of them in a certain order, then it's still never really quite the same thing as somebody really experiencing it for themselves. And the kind of synchronicity that I'm talking about. So synchronicity being, a number of things aligning or pointing to the same thing, perhaps beyond coincidence, statistical probability. For me, synchronicity, when I say this word, I'm trying to convey my experience of synchronicity. It is like my brain is like, I don't know, it's definitely more than 3 dimensions, this conscious map going on, okay? And it's not even like here necessarily, but see, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a rabbit hole every word you go, and it's like, what does that word mean? And then what does all this other thing mean? I mean, it's just like, how do you ever talk about any of this stuff, But anyways, it's like, synchronicity. I just ate something, and I have like something in my mouth. That's horrible. Oh my god, you guys. I just going with the intuitive flow here, I guess. For real, so let's get back to it before I lose it, or I'm just gonna delete this. It's like a bunch of dots going off and being connected. And it's not all at once necessarily. It could be over time, the entirety of your experience. Thoughts, experiences, combinations of them. Sense, random thoughts, or thought trains, or a reason why a certain thought train led you to a certain thought, or a reason why it's important that it came out of nowhere, or why your attention was brought to it. And, there are things that, it's like if you try to explain it to somebody else, it's like, doesn't seem to have the emphasis or importance that that it has for yourself. And I'm not talking like just subjective belief superstition type stuff here. I'm talking about like if you have a statistical, objective, observing critical mind, and you're drawing on all sorts of data points, and you're not looking for these things, and you're skeptical, and you're not tend to grasp onto anything in some wild belief, but these things happen, connect, or light up in such ways and patterns that are like not just statistically significant, but also insanely intuitively significant, psychically significant, premonitory beyond, it's all, well, what are the chances of sitting there? But you don't know, because and if you could add them all up, or the patterns of them, which you can't really convey that to a person. You can't take one little instance of something like this and convey the importance to another person, because they don't have the full context of all of them and how it all works together. And it's not like, oh, you're just cherry picking, making up some belief crap. I do know that this kind of thing can happen, especially in religions, cults, or people who are just like really gullible, tend to be led or jump on a bandwagon where they just believe everything somebody's saying, and then it's like what they're seeing everywhere because they're like geared towards that mentally. I am not talking about that kind of stuff. That's why it's so hard to describe, because you don't know where I'm coming from. You don't know me. You don't know every the minute, in-depth analysis that has been going on since ever I can remember. I used to be a little kid laying there in bed, just freaking all these wheels turning and be analyzing patterns or thinking this or that, or instead of watching regular TV, I'd be watching documentaries or looking stuff, just going down every rabbit hole. That doesn't mean I don't believe it all, and my perspectives have changed over time because I'm always adding, weighing, and incorporating information. And more and more I'll say I don't know, but so far, based on the evidence and experience that I have gathered, this is what I think is probably likely, but I could take a number of different perspectives and argue it all around the table from every devil's advocate or actual advocate position, just because, in my considerations of things, I put myself there. How can you understand why you're for something if you don't know why the other side is wrong? If it just sounds good and you're like, oh, that's great, sounds good. How do you know? Have you vetted that? And then this is very, very incredibly simplistic aspect of this kind of I'm out of breath just listening back to that, you guys. I sped the video up a little bit just because I didn't want to be all laggy. No stimulants involved, promise. But my flow did get interrupted, so I think this is a developing concept with a number of offshoots that I've really been dying to go into, but every time I want to or try to, it just seems so overwhelming or not concise, you know, just so hard to convey. And then I realized that part of my struggle is like in wanting to convey it, because part of the purpose is like just accepting it for yourself and like not having to force it on other people. Like, okay, people, thank you. Yeah, family is up good, but making a video, if you could keep it down, thanks. Real life, keeping it real anyway. Yeah, I'm making a video, so give me a sec, thanks. Keeping it real. So flow, right? Flow, conveyance, right? You know, and okay. Fighting frustration with like wanting to communicate this or be understood in it, even if other people don't, you know, whatever. It's, well, they can't if they don't. So, but yeah, and then there's this whole circle split, double split thing, but I'll get into that later. But yeah, so I guess that'll be like some weird, crazy little part one, hopefully, and I'll continue the rant in parts, so it's not too like, you know, it's just that it's layers and layers and wheels within wheels, and there's really no time, and it's just hard to convey. Check out near-death experiences. Love you all.